play truant, keep the honey.
Mm. And your parents had grown up in the Isle of Dogs?
Yeah.
And that's where they met each other? Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't. I only know that she was 17. She was about 10 years younger than Grandad. And Gran was 17 when she met him and married him. She was about my size, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was very tiny,
Well,
very
I
hard.
suppose to there, and you.
Oh yeah, very hard working, wasn't she?
Oh, yes.
But I don't know how they met. I think they only knew one another for about 2 weeks and they got married.
And what did your parents do? at
My
the Isle of
father,
Dogs?
he was in the football business, you see. Mum never went to work, but he played professional football and he became an international for Wales. He played for Wales several times, and then he became a trainer of the same club, Millwall. He spent most of his life with Millwall Football Club, and then he was a trainer there, and Bob Hunter used to be the manager. But when Bob Hunter died, there was another chap called, his name
Not
just,
that Glenn.
no,
No,
I just forget his name at the moment. When this man came, he knew nothing really about football, but he had cleanliness with him. If there was a match down there, he'd say to my dad, "Kick that up." And anyway, he evidently got to dislike Dad and he sacked him. And that was during the war. And he finished up in Woolwich Arsenal. That was the ammunition factory. Then just after that, there was him and Ethel's sister, her husband. He was relieved out of the Navy. He was a Navy man. He was relieved out of the Navy, and they both worked at the ammunition works, and they both came through a tremendous blitz there, air raid and everything. And after a few weeks, they both died. They both died. They were not together. That was Edie's husband.
yeah, who died to get
Dad.
dead?
Yeah, it was during the war.
And it was just a few weeks after this Blitz thing? I mean, do you know what he died of?
Yes, cancer.
But he was working all that time, so.
Yes, he went to work. I think it was cancer of the lung. So it is on the death certificate.
I wouldn't know.
Yes. Yeah.
And what was school like when you were
School,
kids?
horrible.
Horrible.
I hated it. I don't know about it, but I hated it. It's so much different then. I mean, the children were afraid of the teachers then. Now it's the teachers afraid of the children, isn't it?
We weren't really, not in our school.
Or, no, you went to different.
Yeah, I went to a different school, smaller school. I think we only had about 10 classes, and you had about
Oh, ours was a big one. We had
tremendous.
the infants and the girls, no, the boys as they got older, and then the girls right on the top. It was terrible. They used to have a girl stand at the top with a book, late book, take your name if you were late. And if you were late so many times in 1 week, you were lined up in the hall and you got a cane for being late. It was really horrible. I was glad when my grandparents moved to the country and I went to a little school there, which was heaven. It was lovely there. It's only 2 rooms. But school was horrible.
I became the captain of the school at 13 and a half, but we had a medical there, you know, they came and examined you. When I stripped off, my back was full of sores or pimples or what have you. And I left school at that then.
Oh, why?
Through this back, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I left at 13 and a half. I went to the back, well, yeah, something I wrong in the back. I don't know what it was. But it was all,
I know Bill left at 13.
oh, did he?
Yes, because he came, when my grandparents moved to the country, he was sent, really, with, with me. But I really enjoyed my grandparents because I was always following them around, granddad around, you know. But Bill hated the country, hated it. And he was about 13 when we moved there. I was 10. And so I was old enough to still carry on at school, but he was getting near leaving age. He didn't go to school in the country. No.
I never knew he went down the country.
Yes, he went down, and then it was so miserable it was all the time that eventually Mum had him at home, and he was apprenticed to a blacksmith, wasn't he? Round the wall.
Yeah.
But no, he hated the country.
Yeah.
What, do you remember about holidays and things? Did your family go
No.
anywhere, like
Not
seaside
really,
or-
no. I don't know whether you remember, like Christmas. Really, my mother working for Granddad, she used to work in the shop.
Mhm.
So when my father was playing football and was also trainer, they used to play Christmas Day as well. But now they don't. And it was, I can never remember sitting down to a Christmas dinner as a family, because my mother was always into the greengrocer's shop that used to keep open all night then for Christmas.
Mhm.
And my father would come home and just take potluck, you know, really. Can you ever remember having a Christmas dinner?
No, not really.
No.
Of course, the greengrocer shop, they had a big stall outside, and all the fruit and veggies and everything was outside. And the shop was open all night, was never closed. But someone had to sit up to watch the shop.
They used to take it in turns.
Yeah, we used to take it in turns. I've done that.
But it was just Christmas night that it was open?
Oh, well, this is years ago.
Yeah, was it open any other nights or just a
No,
Christmas?
this is Christmas because they got so much stuff packed outside, you see, fruit and vegetables. It wasn't worth fetching it in and then putting it out again next, because it all had to be big stalls and it all had to be carried out and packed in sections, you see.
It was for about a week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
you know,
worthwhile fetching it in, so you kept open all night.
And what was Christmas like when you were kids? Did people hang up stockings? Did you have Christmas
They
trees?
did, but I can never remember having a Christmas tree.
Well, yes, you used to hang your stockings up.
Yeah, oh yes.
But what you were getting, it might be a couple of 4 or 5 little sticks and some coal in it to light the fire.
I like to get to get up and light the fire in the morning.
Really?
Yeah, true.
I remember, you know, I'd lived in town at Christmas for a long time, and then I went away to Guinness Bill's relations, you know.
Yeah,
They
James.
lived no, they lived at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
And I went there around Christmas and I hung my stocking up there, and I got a doll that I'd already had in my stocking. And that was it, I realised.
You might get apple or orange in there as well.
Oh yes, I put orange like that. I mean, nothing to what the children get now.
Did you ever go Christmas caroling?
No.
No,
Was your family religious? Did you go to church?
No.
not really.
Dad used to go and sit in the church and hear all the singing. He loved that.
Oh, he was a choir boy before he was married.
Yeah.
He wasn't
Yeah, he
on
was
the
a-
religious side,
Yeah,
really, you know, but afterwards, after he started playing football and that, he didn't go to
No, but he was about the only one who's more or less had a little religion in him, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to go to church
Oh,
quite
did
a
you?
lot. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I never do that.
Oh, yes, I went to the Presbyterian church
Oh.
when I was, that's when I was about 16 or 17.
Oh.
But, yes, I used to go to church, but,
Your father came from Wales. Did he grow up in Wales?
no.
No, I think he was born on the borders, actually. What was it?
Burton-on-Trent.
Burton-on-Trent,
Mm.
yeah, which is on the borders of Wales and England. Burton-on-Trent, yeah.
But you don't know if he has any family there still.
No, we
I
don't
don't know
know.
if there is
I know I shouldn't think they have any of that. They may have
I should
grandchildren.
think, yes, grandchildren.
Grandchildren, but
Yes.
we would not know them now.
No.
He had a couple of sisters lived in East Ham, which is in the east end of London, and used to go and visit them on a Sunday there.
Yes,
And she had 2 daughters,
that's right. One had a son and a daughter.
Yeah. and there was Billy. He was, I don't know who his parents were, but he was in the First World War as a sailor, and their ship got sunk. And that's how he finished up.
Well, he would have been Dad's brother, wouldn't he? That was Dad's brother.
No, I don't think so.
He must have been the First World War.
Or no, could
Yes,
be.
must have been Dad's brother. Because, yes, because I mean, Dad was only 65 or 64 when he died.
Mm.
And that was in 1946, 45 or 46.
Could be.
Yes, it was.
Do you remember the First World War much?
Oh, yes. Yes, we used to get the Zeppelins come over, big balloons, and dropped a few bombs. Never did a lot of damage. But there was one shot down by one of our planes. I remember that.
Yeah, everyone went out to see it.
Yeah, I forget the place it dropped in now. Somewhere in Essex somewhere.
But under this shop, this greengrocer's shop we're telling you about, there was a big cellar. And when the air raid warning went, we would, not only us, but other people would all get under the cellar. That it was safe because if anything had dropped, it would come
Yeah,
right
you got a
front.
trench.
There was only a floor like, you know, well, but during the Second World War, people, you know the foot tunnel, don't you? People used to take their mattress and bed clothing and that and
Stay down there.
go down there during the, not that that was any safer, but we just hoped or thought it would be.
I guess you'd figure the bomb would sort of be defused if it landed in the water. It wouldn't keep coming down. Let's see, what else can I ask you about? Well, let's see, Bill is in the middle between you
That's
two,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And as brothers and sisters, did you fight a lot, do you remember? Or did you do things together, or did you?
No, we kind of separated. We took our own ways, you know. Bill had his friends, I had my friends, Ada had her friends.
I can only remember him chasing me all around the field when I, you know, at school. If I happened to say something a bit cheeky, and he could run like a deer, so it was no good me trying to get away from him. He never ever hit me, but I used to be scared of him. But he played football a bit.
Oh, yes.
No, we never kind of mixed as children, did we?
No. Went our own ways.
Yes.
Did your father want you boys to play football?
Well, Bill could have made it. I was no good. I was useless at football. I was no good whatever.
But you
When I ran with my head down. I couldn't see where I was running to. Couldn't do anything else about that. But Bill would have made a good footballer, and he could have signed for Millwall, but their manager then was Bob Hunter, and he had a daughter, and he wanted Bill to marry his daughter. So Bill was caught in his wife now, and that's why he never. And there's another professional football team that found out about him or watched him or what have you, and they would have signed him, but when they found out that he was my father's son, and that my father was the trainer for Millwall, you see, well, they thought there's no good of trying to get him. But otherwise he could have become a professional and made a good footballer. It was quite a good amateur
It was
footballer.
the biggest disappointment in his life, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He really had hoped to be.
Oh, he did, yes.
Oh, yes, really a good footballer.
And now, if you left school at 13, how did you play? I mean, around, at least in the States, people play ball in high school and in college, and that's when they get noticed and maybe go on to a professional team. But where did you play that anyone would know?
Play them, go to work.
What?
Well, play football.
Play football.
Like, how did they go?
Streets.
Well, on the island they have what they call the mud shoot. There's a big,
Oh, yeah, I've
you've
seen
seen
that
it,
shoot,
it's
yeah.
now a farm, isn't it?
Right.
And they used to have a big football ground there, and that's where Bill used to play football. He used to play for the team called the Millwall Loco. That's where he played them.
And that was just people from the neighborhood playing, or?
Well,
Well,
could be.
actually, they just kicked about in the streets.
No, he was
didn't
playing
they?
for a team
Yes,
there.
Bill was, but Louis did all the children.
Oh no, that was a private football ground, you see. Only this Loco could play on that ground.
Yes, that's what I said.
But now that's disappeared because they keep shooting the mud and that mud shoot now has continued right over to the fence as far as it can go. So that's a blockage there.
And when you were going to school, did they have those 11 plus exams?
No, I don't think.
Yes.
Did they?
Yes, only at 11 years of age, so that was the only one. And if you didn't pass that, well then you stayed at the same school you were at. But if you did pass, if you managed to, say not pass with honours, but just pass, you went to what they called the secondary school. If you passed, you went to a grammar school. Well, I know at the time when I was 11, the crowd of girls that sat there, and only one passed for grammar school.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it seemed to be, much harder then to pass, but that was all. And what happened after they got to grammar school, I suppose they could go on to college and if they wanted to study more.
There was not much encouragement for people to go on then after.
Oh, no, I mean really, people, it was like when they left school, children left school, didn't they?
Yeah, but one of Dad's sisters had two daughters that went to
George Green School.
George Green School, which was a kind of
It was a private school.
Oh, was it a private school?
Yes, you paid for them.
Oh, I
to go there.
see. Oh.
That was private, and he was a solicitor, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And she paid for them to go to
Oh,
that
did she?
school. Oh, yes. Yes.
And now so they are.
Yes, they used them.
A little closer because otherwise I'm just gonna get the sound of the heat, the hot air coming up. Let's see. Okay. Yeah.
No, as you left school at 14, so you went to work.
Mm-hmm. The girls did too. And what kind of jobs could you get at that time?
Well, mostly they were in factories or shops.
Mm-hmm.
And That's all, wasn't it? Factory or shop work. And as they got married, they would have, say, 2 rooms with in their mother's house. Until that was out years ago, but of course as they seemed to get more educated and more money and better jobs, so they looked around for their own house. But that was all really a recognised thing to have 2 rooms in your mother's house when you got married.
Yeah, when I
In the
got,
girl's mother's house usually.
Um,
It was usually the girl's mother's house, not the boy's mother's house.
the boy's mother's,
You know,
Oh,
whose
in those
mother's,
years.
whose,
well, I suppose it depended on
who had the
who
room.
had the
yeah.
rooms, you see.
but when I got married, we lived in Poplar, where the downstairs part of a house in Poplar, and the people upstairs owned the house, and he was one of the chips, the boats, the barges. I can't think what they call them now. Yes, you do know, but I can't. But, and they owned the house there, and we lived in the bottom house. And after that we moved back onto the island, into Glengore Road. Then we moved out of Glengore for some reason, and we went into a house in Mully Street. And I think from Mully Street we came over to New Cross, if I remember rightly.
I don't know. I can remember you living in Poplar.
Yeah. Behind the church.
I can't remember you living much in, what's the name? In Glengore Road, but I remember Poplar because you had Dick up there, didn't you?
Yeah.
That had Dick in Poplar, and I don't know, he was with Mum at some time or the other, and she wanted me to bring him home, take him up to Eccles, and I was courting Bob then, and he said, well, you go inside the bus and I'd go on top. He wouldn't ride with me while I was holding the baby. So he finished up on the top bus and I was inside.
Do you
He was
remember?
well known on the island, you see, and I suppose he thought it might cause a bit of gossip.